You ever notice how quickly people lose interest when something doesn't require effort? When the challenge disappears, so does their hunger? It's strange, isn't it? Because we say we want easy. We want easy money, easy success, easy fitness. But then the moment that life removes the resistance, our drive just flatlines. Because at the end of the day, deep down, ease doesn't ignite purpose. It's actually challenge that does. Welcome back to Master Your Mindset, Master Your Life. This is a short, actionable podcast where you can take away tips and techniques to help you shift your mindset, get you from stuck to unstoppable. I'm Sanj, and I'm here to help you on that journey to get you from surviving to thriving. If you get something from this episode, please leave me a rating or a review. I'd really appreciate it, and share it with someone who you know who would benefit from hearing this. Today, I'm talking about a topic which is, if things are easy, why do we not do it? Because let's be real, if every rep in the gym felt weightless, you wouldn't feel proud because there'd be nothing for you to overcome. If every goal you set just came instantly true, you'd end up stop dreaming because there'd be no becoming in the process. So that's what I want to talk about today, that inner contradiction, that love-hate relationship that we all have with difficulty. We chase comfort while worshipping stories of warriors, of visionaries and outliers who ran towards that discomfort. And the truth, if it was easy, you probably wouldn't even care enough to keep doing it. So let's start off with the comfort trap, because we believe this modern lie. So let's start by calling out this modern lie, and it's we've mistaken ease for freedom. We think freedom means never struggling, but actually real freedom, the kind that expands your life, the kind that builds resilience, earns respect, that only comes when you choose challenge over comfort again and again. You see, because comfort seduces you. It seduces you with peace, but actually it robs you of your power. It's there, it's that little voice in your ear saying, you deserve a break. But then before you know it, that break is turned into stagnation, and you're in the same place you were 2 years ago. I've seen this pattern in clients, in friends, in fathers, in anyone who has had potential, but then they've mistook comfort for arrival. They've worked hard once, they've tasted a bit of success, and then subconsciously they've started protecting their current level instead of pursuing the next one. And it's a dangerous shift, because once you start defending comfort, you stop chasing growth. And growth only lives on the edge of difficulty. And I'm sure everyone's been in that situation where, say, you've started working out, you started, say, going to the gym, and after a while you reach the ideal body weight, and then you kind of just stop because everything seems easy again. You just stop. You're there like, okay, I'm at my ideal weight, and you kind of forget, you fall back into that trap of, actually, I'm there now. You forget that actually you need to consistently go to the gym to keep that weight. And before you know it, you've put the weight back on. So let's go deeper and just beyond motivation about what's happening inside your brain. Because until you learn how your brain works, it's very difficult for you to change how you think and how you behave. So when you engage in a challenging activity, something that requires focus, something that requires effort, persistence, what happens is your brain, it releases dopamine. Not at the finish line though, but throughout the pursuit. And that's a critical thing, because that dopamine, that neurotransmitter of motivation and drive, it isn't just the pleasure chemical, it's the anticipation chemical. It rewards the effort, not the ease. So when you struggle towards something meaningful, your brain, it drips dopamine every time you make progress, no matter how small. That's why after a tough workout, a long study session, or completing a hard project, you feel alive. That's why when you do something that pushes you out of your comfort zone, you feel like you're on top of the world. The struggle itself feeds your motivation. But then when things come too easily, when the challenge is missing, your brain stops releasing that steady dopamine stream because you no longer feel it. It's no longer, you're not anticipating anything. You might feel a quick hit of pleasure when you get something free or instant, but that feeling fades just as fast. That's why easy success actually feels empty, because your biology was built for the pursuit, not passivity. Yeah, you're not meant to be passive. So when you find yourself asking, why do I lose interest once it becomes easy? That's why. Your brain literally goes, no resistance, no reward. Yeah. And this is actually quite common, even in relationships. Why people will love the chase. There's that resistance. There's that dopamine hit. Yeah, that anticipation chemical. If it's difficult, if something's a challenge, you're going to go after it. But if it's easy, there's no resistance, no reward. You don't get that dopamine. So you think you crave convenience, but actually what you're craving is progress. And let's now go on to the psychology of free. Why do we say yes to opportunities, but then fail to show up when there's no cost? So a good example is I ran a free challenge not long ago. I had a lot of people who signed up. They clicked yes. They said that they were going to be there, all the right things. Then day one arrived and most of them vanished. I didn't take it personally because I knew exactly what was happening. When something costs nothing, the brain tags it as a low priority. How many times have you signed up for something free and then just forgotten about it? Yeah, the human mind, it values what requires investment, time, money, energy, effort. These are all forms of psychological currency. So if you paid for something, your brain says, I have skin in the game, I can't waste this. But when it's free, there's no pain of the loss attached. And without that risk, there's no accountability. And then that goes on to another subject, which is why are you willing to promise why are you willing to break promises to yourself? Why are you not willing to hold yourself accountable to the same level as you would hold someone else? It's the same reason gym attendance skyrockets in January but drops by February. That initial excitement is free. The ongoing commitment costs, that's something. And that's just too high for people to pay. So let's not sugarcoat it. Most people don't fail because they're weak. They fail because they never put enough on the line to make the failure hurt. But here's a paradox. Those same people who avoid challenges are the ones scrolling motivation videos about grinding and hustling. They love the idea of challenge. They love it, but not the discomfort of it. But evolution, it wired you differently. Your nervous system is designed to grow stronger under tension. Just like a muscle, your mind needs resistance to expand. And in neuroscience, this is called neuroplastic adaptation, where your brain literally rewires itself through effort. Each time you overcome friction, your neurons fire, connections strengthen, and your identity shifts. You become someone new because you've learned it through action. So when you avoid difficulty, you're not just skipping hard work, you're skipping transformation. Every easy choice is an opportunity denied to become more. So that's why the highest performance, the unstoppable ones, they seek challenge on purpose. They don't wait for life to toughen them up. They train for it daily. Yeah, ease is a liar. Effort is the truth. So, but we do crave things to be easy because easy lets us hide. If things are easy, you never have to risk exposing your limits. You never have to face failure or embarrassment of judgment. Yeah, and if you fail at something easy, you can shrug it off and just say it wasn't worth it anyway. But if you give your all to something difficult and still fall short, that's when your ego feels threatened. Yeah, so rather than risk that pain, most people choose the illusion of competence over the reality of growth. It's just self-protection disguised as laziness. I've done it myself. There were moments in my career where I'd take on projects I knew I could easily crush just so I could feel productive. But then after a while, I knew that I wasn't just doing the same thing over again. And I was just performing at 70% of my capacity, maybe less. Yeah. And then I realized I wasn't afraid of the hard work. I was actually just afraid of not being good enough when it mattered. And this was in the very early days. And then the realization changed everything. Because once you admit to yourself that your fear of failure is stronger than your hunger for growth, that's when you can flip the equation. You stop chasing those easy wins and you actually start hunting those meaningful battles. Because you felt it before. Yeah, you in that pull between wanting something badly and holding yourself back because it's too easy, too simple. Yeah, so your brain, and you're there thinking, if this is available, if it's given freely, do I even value it? And here's the kicker, your brain agrees with you. That little voice inside you says it's free, it doesn't matter, it's not real. That's your primal wiring. Yeah, and this is what this is about. Think about this. Do you remember the challenges? Do you remember those hard-earned victories that just stay burned into your memory? Yes, you do. But the freebies, they just fade like smoke. Yeah, because your brain craves a story, a battle, a reason to feel like you've earned it. Yeah, so remember, how do you fix this? How do you change this? First, you must understand that the feeling of too easy is just a test. Yeah, your mind is asking, do you value yourself? Do you value the outcome? Yeah, so when things are easy, when things are free, here's 3 ways that you can actually start to shift your mindset so you can start taking them more seriously. Number 1 is create artificial stakes, because when there's nothing at risk, your brain won't commit. But just manufacture a consequence. Sign up for something and attach a cost. Maybe not money, but time, accountability, public declaration. Tell 3 people you're committing to it. Number 2 is gamify the effort. Even if something is offered freely, assign yourself a metric that makes it challenging. If you're given a free training, commit to completing it in a single week instead of 2 months. Track every action, reward yourself for that consistency and punish yourself for that absence. Because by creating that structure, that pacing and measurable effort, your brain finally acknowledges that activity is worthy of those dopamine spikes. And number 3 is focus on mastery over results. And here's a subtle shift that most people miss. When you chase free rewards, your brain seeks the outcome. But mastery flips that lens. You're not there for the freebie. You're there to dominate the skill, to embody the process, and to own yourself. Mastery actually creates intrinsic value that rewires your habits, your identity. It allows you to follow through. And that external reward becomes irrelevant because your internal system is firing for purpose. Yeah, so that's what I want you to do. When you next sign up for something, when you see something that's free, I want you to start actually doing those 3 things. Create artificial stakes, gamify that effort, focus on your mastery over your results. Yeah, remember, if it's free, easy, or socially validated before the work is done, guard it, manipulate it, and engineer it to be hard. Turn that soft opportunity into steel. Turn potential distraction into measured tension. Turn easy access into structured commitment. Your transformation depends on it. Yeah, so pick one thing that is free and use those 3 methods, because you don't grow from comfort. You grow from investment. You don't transform from ease. You transform from consequence. And you don't master your life from zero skin in the game. You master it when every action, every choice, every commitment has weight, purpose, and fire behind it. You're not here for free or easy. You're here to fight. You're here to prove. The fact that you're listening to this podcast shows that you want to master your mindset so you can master your life. So if this episode hit you like it should, DM me on Instagram at just.livecoaching or drop your biggest takeaway in the reviews. Let me know what you got from it, what action you're going to take, and how it impacts your life. Yeah, remember, if you want to change your life, you first master your mindset so you can master your life.